Here is your Radio Theater Channel weekly podcast for download. The RTC still has the very best old-time radio on the live streaming. And if it's music you love, tune in to the RTC Music Channel, where this link and many others are on our website at oldtimeradiolisten.com. Now, here's Jim.
Hello and welcome to the RTC Weekly Download. I'm your host, Jim Dolan. Well, it's off to college this time with Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman as we present The Halls of Ivy from 1950.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin presents The Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman.
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
If you like good beer, you'll find it pays to be curious and learn about Schlitz for yourself. And now, The Halls of Ivy.
We love the halls of ivy that surround us here today, and we will not forget though we be far, far away.
Welcome again to Ivy. Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA. The last class of the day has been dismissed, and both students and faculty are relaxing. In the home of Dr. William Todhunter Hall, president of Ivy, and his wife, formerly a shining light of the London stage, Dr. Hall is lying on the couch, and Mrs. Hall is sitting on the floor beside him, going over the afternoon mail which arrived a few minutes ago.
Well, here's the last of the lot. It's an invitation to tea. What reply shall I make?
What does it say?
On Saturday the 16th, Mrs. Millicent Foster will be at home between 4 and 6.
Dr. William Hall, likewise.
That's rather a crisp refusal, don't you think? I mean, for someone as rich as Mrs. Foster. Now, what happens to a college president who misses a chance to wangle an endowment?
Well, the established procedure, I believe, calls for his board of governors to form a hollow square, snip off his buttons, and drum him out of the service. Well, unless, of course, he can prove it was not his fault. If he can do that, then the board naturally takes that into consideration.
I see. What do they do then?
Well, then they, form a hollow square, snip off his buttons, and drum him out of the service. And he and his wife are never, just rub my back a little. No, a bit to the left. That's it, And he and his wife are never again seen in academic circles. They become flotsam and jetsam on the stream of life.
You know, I think you ought to accept Mrs. Foster's invitation. She's apt to be very receptive to your ideas about building Ivy.
Well, why should she be? I've never even met her.
Have you forgotten what that magazine article said about you last week? Toddy, your cheesecake.
Oh, no, Victoria, no.
What was that line? No ineffectual intellectual he.
Oh, Victoria.
And that caption beneath the photograph. Sexy Prexy.
Victoria, please. The tone of that article was entirely incommensurate.
The article contained a great deal of truth.
But the tone of that article was entirely...
Toddy, face it. You're an attractive human being.
The tone of that... Well, anyway, it's nice to have you think so.
Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one. Girls must always have found you attractive. Don't tell me that before you met me you never dilly-dallied.
Dillied, perhaps, Victoria, but I never dallied. I think we might bring this discussion of my personal charms to a close by accepting Mrs. Foster's invitation to tea.
There. One moment while I note it down. There. No hollow square for you. Your regimental buttons are quite safe.
Well, as far as we know. However, I think Oh, answer the phone, will you, Victoria?
Certainly, if I can find it.
Oh, this happens every time. That phone is never twice in the same place.
Now, Toddy, it'll turn up sooner or later.
Let it out of your sight for one moment and off it scampers on a frolic of its own.
It's not under the coffee table.
Never mind, Victoria. I see it.
Where?
On the telephone table, of all places. Dr. Hall speaking. Oh, yes, good afternoon, Mr. Merriweather. This is an unexpected With whom? No, I've never met him, but of course his reputation... Oh, yes, by all means, do. Goodbye. Mr. Merriweather, he's on his way over.
Oh, good. I adore Mr. Merriweather. I wish all the members of the Board of Governors were like him. Did I tell you what he said to me last time he visited? As he was leaving, he pinched my cheek, looked deeply into my eye, sighed an enormous sigh, and said, "Gad, ma'am, what I wouldn't give to be 70 again."
Chester Bromley is with him.
Chester Bromley. I don't think I know him.
Well, he's perhaps the greatest authority on Shakespeare since Kittredge of Harvard, and one of the finest pedagogues this country has ever produced. I wonder what Merriweather has on his mind. Do you suppose the board is displeased about something?
Oh, no point fretting, Toddy. Think about something else. Tell me more about Dr. Bromley.
He's the best kind of academician. He has real love for his subject, and what is even more admirable, he can communicate his enthusiasm and fire to his students. He may want to reopen the whole matter of breakage in the physics lab.
Dr. Bromley?
No, dear, Mr. Merriweather, he can't seem to understand that with the increased emphasis on the sciences, the expenses are bound to mount. I wish we could have him here at Ivy permanently.
Mr. Merriweather?
No, darling, Dr. Bromley. He's unearthed more truth about his subject matter than any other researcher in the field. I don't suppose you know there's no foundation whatsoever to the story that he was horsewhipped for poaching deer when a boy.
Dr. Bromley or Mr. Merriweather?
William Shakespeare.
He's on third.
Who's on third?
Who's on first? I could use a cup of tea.
It's very confusing, the whole thing.
Philip!
You know, it's only recently that Bromley has received the recognition he deserves. Most of his life he taught at third-rate schools throughout the country. Not until Oxford invited him to lecture did the academic world realize what a great man he really is.
Did you call, Mum?
Yes, it'll be 4 for tea.
Yes'm.
One moment, Penny. Toddy, did you know Penny was born and bred in Shakespeare's hometown?
Really? Stratford-on-Avon? Oh, you must know quite a good deal about him.
Oh, yes. Couldn't help but learn what we'd been raised there. I could tell you ever so many things.
Now, go ahead. I'm very interested.
Well, for one thing, he was English.
Yes, I have heard some such rumor.
And he wrote plays.
You did keep your ears open, didn't you?
I haven't read any of the plays, of course, but an uncle of mine did, and he spoke very highly of them.
Penny, Shakespeare was one of the greatest masters of the English language who ever lived.
Well, I can understand you're being impressed by that, being a Yank. But I've been speaking the English language all my life.
You certainly have.
And, let me see. Oh, yes, he's dead.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, thank you very much, Penny.
Oh, don't mention it, sir, any time at all. Oh, excuse me, sir, the door.
I'm sorry, dear. I'm afraid Penny didn't help much.
No, I wouldn't say that she had made my regimental buttons any more secure, but it was a good try, Vicky.
Toddy, quick, before Dr. Bromley comes in, tell me more about him so I can talk to him.
Well, one of the things he did was to clear up the mystery of the second-best bed.
The second-best bed?
Yes, you see, Shakespeare was quite wealthy when he died, and yet, in his will, he left his wife only his second-best bed. Scholars speculated for years about that.
Yeah, I bet the neighbors did, too.
Yes, Mr. Merriweather, sir.
Oh, thank you, Penny. Good afternoon, Mr. Merriweather.
Hello, Hall. Good to see you again. More than good to see you, ma'am.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Merriweather. You're looking very fit.
Feeling very fit. Winked at a pretty girl this morning. She winked right back. Thing like that's a tonic to a man my age.
Well, isn't Dr. Bromley with you?
Oh, he'll be here later. He's inspecting the library. I couldn't wait to have a business appointment a little later. Dr. Hall, I have good news. I've got Bromley on the verge of joining our faculty.
No.
Yes. I was introduced to him. Remember that opening in the English department and decided he was the one to fill it.
Well, that's wonderful. How in the world did you manage? I've heard he's turned down scores of offers.
Well, simply reasoned with the man. Look here, I said, and so on and so on and so on. Yes, he answered, but what about this and that? Well, it's all very good, I said, but it carries no weight whatsoever when you take such and such into consideration. And that clinched it.
Yes, I can see where it would. It's a very potent argument.
Anyway, I persuaded him to visit Ivy for a few hours, and all you have to do is wind up the deal.
I still don't understand. Surely some of the positions he's rejected carry much larger salaries than anything we can offer.
Well, he mentioned that, but he added it was no criterion. He seems to place all the weight on the fact that not one of the college presidents with whom he's spoken since his return from Oxford could answer a very simple question. Not one. It's shocking, don't you think?
I should be very interested in knowing what the question is.
What was it again? Oh, yes. What was William Shakespeare like personally? Just tell him that and he's ours.
Oh, Mr. Merriweather, let me assure you that is not a simple question. I've no idea why Dr. Brumley would accept or reject a post on such a fantastic basis, but no one has ever answered that question to anyone else's satisfaction. We have no way of knowing what Shakespeare thought or felt about anything.
Oh, I don't agree. Now, what about that line in, I forget which play, where, what's his name, says, and so on.
Yes, well, that line notwithstanding, one cannot deduce the bard's personality from his work any more than one can tell what sort of a man Henry Ford was by examining a Model T.
Well, I'm stunned by what you tell me, Hall. I'm only a layman, but even I know something about him. He was an excellent businessman, shrewd market manipulator.
Well, now, from which of his plays did you get that information, Mr. Merriweather?
Mrs. Hall, I appeal to you.
No, please don't. I don't know anything about him. Never even had a walk-on in one of his plays. He wrote in so few dance routines.
I don't know what to say. Why, I've already telegraphed the other members of the board we'd signed up Bromley.
Wasn't that a trifle hasty, Mr. Merriweather?
Well, I suppose it was, but I've always had such confidence in your ability. Till now.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but under the circumstances, it's unavoidable.
I suppose so. I'll try to make that very clear to the rest of the board. Well, must be going.
I'll inform you of Bromley's decision as soon as I've talked to him.
It's hardly worth the trouble, is it? Oh. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Oh, one moment, Doctor.
What is it?
Your sleeve, allow me. One of your buttons. Hanging by a thread. Good day.
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
We'll return to the Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman, in just a moment. But first, let's hear the story of a lonely traveler and how he made an acquaintance who turned out to be the mutual friend of a club car full of strangers.
Well, I was traveling alone, and I came into the club car late. The earlier arrivals had already formed the quick, fleeting friendships of travel. The sales manager from Omaha and the newspaper man from St. Louis were playing canasta like lifelong buddies. The founder man from Michigan was talking politics with a department store buyer from Pittsburgh. And so it was all over the car. Being a research man who works alone a lot, I don't find it too easy to meet people. So I was feeling like the odd man at a family dinner party when the waiter asked me, "What will you have, sir?" Well, while I'd been studying my traveling companions, I'd noticed how many of them had bottles of Schlitz beer in front of them. I'd noticed, too, how inviting the beer looked in the glass and the satisfied look on the faces of those who were drinking it. Honestly, they could have been in a Schlitz magazine ad. So I said, "Schlitz, please." I figured a beer must be something special to have that many close friends in one club car. When the waiter came back, I found out I was right. I took a deep swallow of that Schlitz beer. I guess the same satisfied look I'd seen on the others must have come over my face. All I know is the man across from me grinned and said, "I know what you're thinking, and I agree with you. It's no wonder they call Schlitz the beer that made Milwaukee famous."
That surround us here today.
To be or not to be? Ready to answer Dr. Bromley's question. That's what's troubling Dr. Hall, as he says...
Oh, the devil should I know what Shakespeare is like personally. Merriweather has no reason to expect I should. If at my age I must be a quiz kid, at least let the questions be some... Yes, what is it, Penny?
Nothing, sir. I've only brought the tea. You did say tea for 4, didn't you, miss?
Yes, I did, but...
Because I was wondering whether there's enough hot water.
There is indeed plenty of hot water, plenty.
Professor Hall?
Yes?
Regarding what we was talking about before, Shakespeare, I've remembered something else. They referred to him as the Bird of Avon.
They may shortly refer to me as the dead pigeon of ivy. Thank you, Penny. That'll be all.
Yes, sir.
Would you like some tea now, Toddy?
Oh, I think we'd better wait for Bromley. He's certainly taking his time about it, isn't he?
Well, after all, life around a college is always leisurely.
Yes, it is. Are you ever sorry you married into such a life? Don't you sometimes find it boring?
Toddy, let me tell you something. Before we met, I'd been proposed to by a big game hunter, a test pilot, and a chemist doing research in high explosives. And frankly, compared to the pickles in which you find yourself, I suspect any of them would have been good and dull.
I don't think I'm in such a bad predicament this time, Victoria. It's only that it may be one of the straws piling up to the one that breaks the camel's back. I never know when the members of the board may start sharpening their snippers and licking their chops with eagerness.
You're getting very careless with your similes, Toddy. Or are they metaphors?
Metaphors, dear.
Oh, but that little touch about licking their chops, masterly, I call that.
Oh, it's nothing really. It just came to me.
Well, I say there's little to worry about. Let them fire you if they like.
A less cavalier approach to the matter, Vicky, if you don't mind.
No, I mean it. Let them. I know who'd regret it first.
Oh, so do I. It's a buyer's market in college presidents. I have no desire to glut it. But over and above that, sentimental though it may sound, I love Ivy. And I'm very keen on my job. My father went to Ivy. His father went to Ivy. My great-grandfather went to Harvard.
Really? And sent his son to Ivy?
Well, you know how it is. A man always wants his children to have the good things in life he himself has missed. The devil is Bromley.
Have you any idea what you'll say to him when he does arrive? About Shakespeare, I mean.
Oh, I shall have to answer his question in some fashion if he asks it. Of course, I've always had a conception of Shakespeare. I've thought of him as someone who was very happy in his work, extremely interested in people, and a man who might have dedicated his life to a cause worthy of his efforts.
Is it so very important that Ivy get this Professor Bromley? I mean, is it worth all this fuss?
If he were just another run-of-the-class professor, my dear, I'd say no. But this man is one of the torchbearers of learning, one of the inspired teachers, a man with a gift of communication. Men like him, shamefully underpaid and unrecognized beyond their own academic horizons, are still the glory of those colleges lucky enough to have them. They're the ones who are remembered down the years with affection and gratitude by the students. And if he's that kind, I hope we snag him.
Oh, if you decide you want him, dear, I'm sure you will.
Yes, I know, but it's a little late in the day to lay out any involved strategy.
Well, you're not much of a campaigner anyway, Toddy. I always think of you more as, spur-of-the-moment man.
Oh, you're quite wrong, my darling. Don't let my apparent impulsiveness deceive you. Compared to me, Niccolo Machiavelli was a witless blunderer.
Oh.
Do you remember the first time I kissed you?
But you didn't kiss me. I kissed you.
Oh, no, you're wrong. I remember it very clearly because it was the culmination of a campaign the like of which for planning and preparation had not been seen since Austerlitz. That picnic we had on the river near Pangbourne, remember? The major tactical problem was how to get you in my arms. But we never seemed to be alone long enough in London. So I invited you to a picnic. And no sooner had we gotten out of the car and stroll down to the river through a herd of cows to feed the swans.
Did you remember to bring the crumbs for the swans?
3 bags full. Now, it's rather rocky here. Be careful.
Oh, I'm careful. Ooh. Oh, dear.
What happened? Twist your ankle?
Yes, afraid I have a bit.
See if you can stand on it.
Yeah. No, I can't.
Well, sit down here on this stump.
No, I have a show to do tonight. I'd better have a doctor take a look at it as soon as possible. Would you mind terribly if we went back to town?
You mean right now?
Yes.
Oh, no. No, of course I don't mind.
Well, let me lean on you. I'll hop.
Oh, don't be silly. I'll carry you. Like this.
Don't you think I'll be too heavy?
Not in the least. You think I'm a weakling?
Oh, no. This is delightful. You're sure I'm not too heavy? I can feel your heart beating.
Not because you're too heavy, believe me. I've never been this close to you before. What's that scent you're wearing? It's wonderfully heady.
Just me.
I never heard of it. Oh, you mean it's you?
Don't you want me to put me down and take a breather?
No, you're light as a feather, really. Yes, I'm enjoying this enormously. Funny, I never noticed that spray of freckles across your nose.
Do you like it?
The freckles or the nose?
Oh, a combination.
Yeah, very much. And the face that goes with it. There's nice coloring all over it.
I think your coloring's getting a trifle high. You'd better put me...
You know, it's only a few steps more to the car.
You sound very relieved.
But I'm not. I would like this to go on forever. May not get a chance to hold you again.
You may not live to do it unless you put me down. That's all. Oh, please, put me down.
Very well, if you prefer. There.
Oh, and for heaven's sake, sit down beside me.
Thank you. Believe me, I will.
Professor Hall, you're a knight in shining armor, but you don't have to kill yourself to prove it. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I wish you could see your face.
It is funny, the way things worked out. I plan a picnic, and it's over in 5 minutes. I attempt gallantry and lose my wind.
And just as you were about to kiss me, weren't you?
Now, I'm offered a kiss and can't catch my breath.
Never mind, Professor Hall. I'll wait. I'll wait until the cows come home.
Ah, what a lovely sound. I'm surprised no one has written a symphony around the cowbell.
That isn't a cowbell, Toddy. That's the doorbell.
Well, why should a cow ring a ring? Oh, the doorbell. Yes. I must have been daydreaming again and didn't quite finish it. You owe me a kiss.
I do, sir?
You were speaking to me, Penny.
Oh, excuse me. Dr. Brumley to see you, sir.
Oh, yes. Won't you come in, Doctor?
Thank you. How do you do?
Victoria. May I introduce Dr. Brumley? Dr. Brumley, my wife.
How do you do, Mrs. Hall?
It's so nice of you to call. Penny, the gentleman's coat and hat.
No, please. I have a taxi waiting outside. I can only spend a few minutes.
Oh, that's too bad. I'd hoped you might stay longer. Much longer.
Several years, perhaps?
Yes. I don't mind telling you it would be quite a feather in Ivy's cap to have you on the faculty.
Thank you. And I don't mind telling you I agree wholeheartedly. I trust I don't appear immodest. It's only that I've recently acquired a fair idea of my own worth. You see, the past few months I've received 53 offers to decorate some school's bonnet.
Oh, it'd be foolish to pretend ignorance of the fact that you're greatly in demand.
Only recently. For 31 years of my career, the shoe was on the other foot. Dr. Hall, You know the tons of application papers an unknown professor fills out in 31 years of job hunting? State name, age, degrees, colleges, previous positions, salary, academic honors, administrative abilities.
Well, we can't expect to be taken on when they don't know anything about us.
Oh, that's very true. I appreciate that. But you can't expect me not to enjoy the turning of the tables now that I've acquired the stature that permits me to ask the questions.
Yes, I'm beginning to understand. What was Shakespeare like personally, eh?
Mr. Merriweather told you that, did he? Well, can you answer it?
Tell Dr. Bromley what you've always said, William. That Shakespeare was a man who felt he'd never received the honors due to one who stood at the top of his profession. This colored his entire life.
Victoria,
How in the world did you know? Dr. Hall, that's precisely the conclusion I've reached. After half a lifetime of intense study, how in the world did you know?
You mean, why, it's obvious.
You take my breath away. I should like to discuss this matter further with you. How about letting me stay for dinner tonight?
Oh, but of course. Please stay.
Just let me go outside and dismiss my taxi. I'll be right back. Don't go away.
Excuse me, Toddy. I want to tell Penny there'll be 3 for dinner.
No, wait. Victoria, how the devil did you know the answer? What do you know about Shakespeare?
All I know about Shakespeare, Toddy, is that Sir Laurence Olivier did a lovely job with Hamlet.
Yes, I know.
But you see, I do know a little about people. When I heard Mr. Merriweather describe him as a businessman, which Mr. Merriweather is, and you describe him as a man who loved his work, which you do, it occurred to me that Dr. Bromley might also see him as a man very like himself. That's all. Excuse me, I simply must tell you.
No, 1 minute, Vicky. I want you to say all that again.
Yeah, well, later, Toddy. Why don't you phone and see if you can reach Mr. Merriweather with the good news?
I will.
I'll be back with you in a few minutes.
Hello, Mr. Merriweather. It's Dr. Hall. I wanted you to know that through your initiative and Mrs. Hall's great knowledge of the classics, Dr. Bromley has decided to join our faculty. Yes, I'm extremely gratified. Anything I have done is, as my students would say, strictly off the cuff. Which reminds me, Mr. Merriweather, remember that loose button on my cuff? I fixed it.
I was curious. I tasted it. Now I know why Schlitz is the beer that made Milwaukee famous.
And here again are Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman.
Darling, you signed him up. I knew you'd do it.
My dear girl, like most men, I am capable of some amazing self-delusions, but not on this score. I know who gave Bromley the answer which convinced him that Ivy was his spiritual home.
Isn't it awful the way I keep butting in?
Was it Shakespeare or Dr. Hall who said, "A man proposes, but woman disposes"?
I'm sure I don't know. Why?
Oh, I was just thinking that since I proposed to you, my darling, my life has been so well disposed.
Well, thank you, dear.
Not at all, darling. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
We'll be seeing you next week at this time at the Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman. The other players were Willard Waterman, Gloria Gordon, and William Johnstone. Tonight's script was written by Walter Brown Newman and Don Quinn. The music was composed and conducted by Henry Russell. The Halls of Ivy was created by Don Quinn, directed by Nat Wolf, and presented by the Joseph Schlitz Brewing Company of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Ken Carpenter speaking.
Oh, we love the halls of ivy that surround us here today, and we will not forget though we be far, far away.
Next, hear We the People over most of these same NBC stations.
Now let's see what the mean little kid is up to with Red Skelton.
Thank you, David. Chapter 141 is entitled Going Away. There's nothing like a vacation with children along, and they're no bother at all, especially if they're like Junior, the mean little kid.
Junior, what are you up to?
Up to the living room. The rest of the house is wrecked by now.
What are you doing to the cat?
I'm putting him up on this pedestal here.
But that's for the goldfish bowl.
I know, but the goldfish bowl is empty and the cat ain't.
Junior, did you have anything to do with the cat eating the goldfish?
Do you think I did?
I most certainly do.
Oh, you positive?
Yes, I'm positive.
Medical science can use you. I'm sorry, Doc. I ain't in here.
Come on. Let's get on with our packing.
Hey, how come we're going to go away, huh?
Your grandfather's got a 3-week vacation, and we're going to take a trip. We'll pick him up downtown.
Oh, where's we going?
We're going to Yellowstone National Park, Glacier National Park, and then over into Canada.
Well, does I get to go along, or is this going to be a pleasure trip?
Of course, it's going to be a wonderful trip.
Oh, good. You're going to drive?
Yes.
In our own car?
Yes.
Packed up full of groceries and
Yes.
stuff? Bags? Thousands and thousands of miles we'll travel, huh?
Yes.
Let's fly. It's quicker.
Oh, Junior, you love Glacier Park.
Yeah.
Wild animals roaming around.
Competition, huh? Well, you know what I'm going to do? And I'm going to feed a bear. I'm going to real live bear. I'm going to feed him.
No.
No?
That's something I want to warn you about
What's
right
that?
now.
Right.
You can't feed the bears.
Why?
Because when all you have to give them is gone, they'll bite you.
Ah, no, not me, boy. I'll walk right up to the old bear, and I'll show him my teeth, you know. And I'll stand right there and let him charge me. And if he comes at me on his hind legs, with his mouth open, and his big sharp teeth and his fangs ready to bite me, I can... Oh, no!
What's the matter?
I just remembered I ain't got a gun.
He scared himself.
Yes, I scared myself.
The bears won't get you.
Yes, they will do, the bear.
Bless his little heart.
Yeah, bless his little heart.
Why, if a bear should bite you, I'll shoot him.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have to do that, you know. If the bear bites me in a couple of hours, he'll die from natural causes, you know.
Well, let's hurry and get packed.
Yeah.
Go over and ask Mr. Fowler if we can borrow a suitcase.
Okay, I'll call him Gene this time, huh?
Well, Junior, hello.
Ah, shut up. Is you alone, Fatso?
Yes, but I can get help quick. What are you up to?
We're going on a trip, we is.
No.
Yes, we're going to see the national parks, and I hear that they got mountains up there almost as big as you is. Lardy.
Junior, there's something about you I like.
You mean that I'm not your kid, huh? But, look, Fatso, my grandma wants to borrow a suitcase, one that's big enough to hold me portable booby traps, you know.
Well, I'll get you
I
one.
might want to move a mountain or something. This is mighty neighborly of you, you know.
Well, how long are you going to be gone?
Oh, about 3 weeks, I guess.
Oh, 3 weeks.
Yes.
Well, here's a suitcase.
Yeah. Hey, it sure is a big one, you know. You don't know anybody around here would like to pick up a nickel, do you? To carry it for me? You don't have...
Oh, I'll help you.
All right. Oh, look, here comes Mr. Bullmine.
Well, Junior, how are you?
Yeah, fine.
What have you got the grip for, Fowler? Going away? Oh, nothing like a vacation does you good. New atmosphere, new people. Where are you going?
Over to get this suitcase to Verna.
Verna?
Yeah, we're going on a trip. We're going through Wyoming, Montana, every place but Utah. I've been there, you see.
And you don't want to go again? You don't want to go again?
They won't let me in.
Ah, but Montana, that's Mother Nature's country.
Yeah, when I get up there, she'll sell the place cheap, believe me. We're going to be gone the whole summer, you know.
Well, I had sort of looked forward to taking you fishing into the ball game. Did you say 3 weeks?
Now stop acting like an old
Don't
biddy.
you yell at me, blubber boy.
Now, you fellas is Too much like gentlemen to be fighting now. Of course, there's nothing to stop one of you from hiring me to kick the other guy in the chins, you know.
Well, it won't seem the same around here without you, Junior.
Oh, Mr. Beaumont, before I forget and I goes away, I got something I got to confess to you.
Oh, what is it?
You remember when you were sleeping under the tree and a bird's egg rolled out of the nest?
Yeah, and splattered all over me?
Yeah. Well, don't you think that duck egg was a little large for a hummingbird's nest? Yes, I do it, I did. Well, I sure gonna miss you, big fellas,
Well, we're gonna miss you, too. Yes, exactly.
Will you really?
Yes.
Hey, I got an idea. Now, maybe it will work if you really gonna miss
Is that you, Junior?
Yes, Mr. Fowler and Harry Beaumont's with me, too, Mr. Beaumont.
Hello. It was nice of you to lend us the suitcase.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, let's not stand here. Let's get packed. Where's the trunk for me stuff?
It's all packed.
Oh, packed?
Yes.
Well, there's me tricycle, me sandbox, me baseball mitts, and so goodness, ain't you going to take nothing from me?
Why don't you stay here with me, Junior? I always wanted a little boy like you.
You must be nuts. Get this man to a hospital quick.
I mean it, Junior.
Why, you old reprobate, the nerve of you trying to move in. You know I've acted as sitter for Junior 5 times.
Yeah, show him your campaign ribbons. Go ahead.
Will you send us a postcard, Junior?
Well, they cost a penny, you know. And so does licorice, you know.
Well, all the windows and doors are locked.
Yeah,
Oh, la, putty, hey, Go get your coat on, Junior.
Well, we say goodbye now, you people.
Well, we're sure gonna miss all of you.
Yeah, while I'm gone, you can be busy digging up all them landmines I laid, you know.
Oh, well, I want you both to know what it does one soul good to know that their neighbors miss them.
Now, don't start that stuff. Goodness, don't cry now. Get back to the hubbub stuff again. Hey, we're going to miss you, fellas. We're going to miss you all. Southern, that is. Oh, Mr. Beaumont, be careful when you go in your woodshed.
Why?
I planted a new booby trap in there on top of your hand.
Oh, Junior, you're kidding.
You just keep laughing, kiddo, that's all. But just don't stick your hand in any dark corner unless you want to leave it there, you know.
Well, I'll say goodbye now.
Goodbye.
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 Well, get in, Junior. What's the matter?
Well, I was just thinking about our poor lonely neighbors that don't have the car, you know. And they don't have anybody to visit. We acting like witch bugs, we is, you know. We got this big car and all that roof. And we're going to see all these pretty sights and stuff. And they got a table.
Oh, no, don't. Junior. We have enough room to take them along, if it's all right with you.
It's all right. Shall I go get him?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Hey, Mr. Beaumont, Mr. Fowler, come on, you can go too. Come on.
Well, that's funny. They're all packed.
Yes, isn't that a coincidence?
This is really very neighborly of you.
Yes, it is.
Very kind.
Well, we're glad to have you. Well, are we all ready?
No, not until these two guys give me 50 cents apiece.
For what?
For acting like I'm going to miss them so we can take them along with us.
And now to wrap up this week's show, we'll have an episode of Roy Rogers. He's dealing with counterfeit money. This is from 1952.
P-O-S-T! P-O-S-T. Post. The cereals you like the most brings you the Roy Rogers Show, starring the king of the cowboys himself, Roy Rogers.
It's roundup time on the double R bar. So saddle your horse, 'cause we're gonna ride far.
The Double R Bar Ranch transcribed stories and songs of the real West with the Whippoorwills, the wisest trail scout of them all, Jonah Wild, played by Forrest Lewis, the Queen of the West, Dale Evans, and in person, the king of the cowboys, Roy Rogers.
Well, howdy, folks. This is Roy Rogers. Say, do you ever complain about having the same old breakfast day after day? Well, you don't need to, buckaroos. Just have Mom keep a supply of Post cereals on the shelf. Then you can choose the breakfast you want any time you want it. You can count on anything bearing the brand name Post. Well, sir, Dale and Jonah and I are on our way to Panhandle Hollow. The sheriff sent word that he's trapped Herb Selby in a cabin out there.
Better come out, Selby.
Hey, Sheriff!
I'm still here.
Hoping I got you. All right, I'm giving up. My ammunition's gone.
Hands over your head, then. No tricks. Come on.
You ought to get a big reward for this, lawman. Hey, why don't you make up some big story about the flight you had to take me? I'll string along with you. Make it as big as you like. Look better for you than saying the only reason you got me was because I run out of ammunition.
Whoa, boy. Just in time, Roy, Dale. Lower your hands, Selby. Let's see how these fit your wrist.
Well, that ain't Trigger and his friends. Come out to escort me to jail, did you, Rogers?
No, but it's a pleasure I won't turn down.
Then you better rope me to my horse and rope my horse to yours, or I'll bust loose on the way. Just like I'm gonna bust out of that crackerbox jail you got in Mineral City.
You sure talk big.
And why not? I got loot hidden all over this territory, and I won't sit in jail and let it rot.
We'll ride in with you, Sheriff. I don't like the way this hombre's acting.
And even that's a pretty good chunk of loot, ain't it? But I got still more hidden out. I got $1,400 last night. I held up Glenn DeBona. And the sheriff's been chasing me ever since. Now, could I have...
Glenn DeBona?
You're talking through your hat. If Glenn had been held up, he'd have reported it to my office, and no reporters come in. Let's go, Roy.
I don't think you realize what you're letting yourself in for, Selby. The more crimes you confess, the longer your sentence will have to be.
Except I'm not going to serve any sentence. I'm going to break out of here in a couple of days.
He's just a smart-aleck kid.
But a bad hombre all the same.
All right, you want to bet on it? You want to bet I won't break out?
Sheriff, let's get DeBona over here and ask him if he was robbed. We've got to find out how much Selby's talk is truth and how much he lies.
Go right ahead. While we're waiting for him, I'll slip over to the bank. Some counterfeit money showed up there, and I want to get a report ready for the federal authorities.
Okay, Sheriff, I'll call him.
Make yourselves comfortable in the office.
We will, thanks.
Oh, I tell you, Roy, that blow the bugle here I come attitude of his is getting to be more than I can stand.
You wait here. I'll call Glenn.
Sure, Roy. Now, Jonah, you give the sheriff his dues.
He's going there to try and float a loan so he can get Dorothy May another present. But presents ain't going to do that polecat no good now. Not after last night.
What happened last night?
Well, he had a date with Dorothy May and didn't show up.
Well, she'll understand if a man's business keeps him from getting...
No, it weren't business that kept him away. No, sir. You see, I happened to pass by the sheriff's right after supper, and I seen him through the window. Cleaning spots off his celluloid collar with a piece of art gum eraser. Cheapskate. I knowed right away what he was up to, so I got Caroline Seplow to phone and say that she was a friend of Dorothy May's, and that Dorothy May was indisposed, and so would he not come over.
Why, Jonah Wild.
His goose is cooked. Dorothy May sat there all evening with nothing to do. Nothing to do but watch the clock and tap her foot.
Well, Glenn will be here in a few minutes. He seemed a little upset when I said we were at the sheriff's office.
He's probably on edge after working at the Mitchell Ranch all year and trying to help his sister keep the bakery going, too. This is the first week he hasn't had 2 jobs, remember?
No, Glenn didn't sound just edgy. There was fear in his voice, too. Well, he'll soon be here. We can find out then if anything is wrong.
While Roy, Dale, and Jonah wait, a thin, nervous figure walks hurriedly toward the office. Glenn DeBona. His hands are in his pockets. His head keeps twitching from side to side as though he expected someone might be trying to slip up behind him. He approaches the door. His face becomes set in strained lines. He enters and faces Roy, Dale, and Jonah.
Oh, howdy, Glenn. Sorry if we took you away from
what
anything.
is all this? What is all this? Where's the sheriff? You said on the phone he was looking for me.
The sheriff had to go to the bank. All we wanted was to ask whether or not you were held up last night.
No, I wasn't.
You weren't?
I just said I wasn't.
All right, don't be flying off the handle.
Well, take it easy, Glenn. The sheriff caught Herb Selby, and Selby's been confessing to every crime that's been committed around here for the last 6 months. Among other things, he said he held you up last night.
Well, if he said that, he's lying. I went out to Mitchell's ranch yesterday afternoon. Jim Mitchell was keeping money for me that I'd saved while I was working for him. And I brought that money back last night, right here, every penny of it. I used it this morning to pay what Sis and I owed on the bakery.
Okay, that's all right.
Well, if you want proof, you can go and ask her. I told you.
Glenn, we're not fighting you. Well, we just figured if you were held up, you'd want to sign a complaint against Selby, and we...
Well, I don't. And I got better use for my time than hanging around the sheriff's office. The bakery needs all my attention.
You're not as big a public enemy as we thought, Herb.
Just a big bag of wind.
All the holdups you told us about are probably brags.
If you want us to believe you're such a clever fella, you should offer some kind of proof.
Huh. Okay, I don't need that $1,400 I took from DeBone. That's chicken feed. So I'll tell you where it is.
That'll sure help.
You know the cabin where the sheriff took me?
Yeah.
Well, there's a pine tree about 10 feet from the south corner. The money's at the base of the tree, on the side next to the cabin.
We'll have a look.
I'll probably be gone before you get back. But anyway, you'll know I back up my claim.
I doubt you'll be gone, Selby. I think you'll be right where you are for a long, long time.
At the base of the pine tree, Roy, Dale, and Jonah find a spot where the ground is packed less solidly than the rest. They dig down. Roy's shovel strikes something soft. He stops digging, reaches into the hole.
A leather pouch.
Yeah, and it's filled with something, too.
Money. Convolution.
There's some initials on it. J.M. But Glenn's initials are...
J.M. stands for Jim Mitchell. Jim must have loaned the pouch to Glenn.
Want me to count the money, Roy?
Yeah, go ahead. Jonah, something's mighty wrong here. We'll have to check deeper into what's happened.
Why, that Glenn DeBoner's been lying like a goat.
Jonah, I know you don't like to be around the sheriff any more than you have to.
He's a polecat.
But while Dale and I ride in and turn this money over to him, you hightail it to Eddie Robertson's place. He's held a mortgage on the bakery, and find out if Glenn's paid off. But don't let him know anything is in the wind.
There's $1,400 here, exactly.
That's it, then. Come on. You and I'll ride in and hand it over to the sheriff. Jonah has something else to do.
I don't understand this, Roy. I don't understand it at all.
It's a mystery to us, too.
Glenn can't get his money back unless he admits it's stolen, can he?
Well, howdy, Jim.
Hello, Mr. Mitchell.
Afternoon, Jim.
Howdy. I understand you people have been trying to give Glenn DeBona a bad time.
That's hardly true.
News travels fast, doesn't it, Jim?
I rode in to be a character witness for Glenn. He worked for me for a year, was one of the best hands I ever had. Did his work well, no carousing or gambling, and he saved his money.
Yeah, we understand he did.
He earned $1,200 while he was here and saved over $1,000 of it. Fact is, last night he came and took what he saved, $1,017.
$1,017.
Nobody's accused Glenn of anything, Jim. Herb Selby claimed to have held him up.
Nobody'd better accuse me of anything either. Glenn's a good man. I'll back him to the hilt.
Well, no hard feelings, I hope.
No, I just dropped in to give Glenn a reference.
What do you make of that, Roy?
Hey, Roy. Oh, Roy.
What?
Roy, can I have the rest of the day off? I'm going to write another chapter in my book titled Honesty is the Best Policy. I'm inspired, Roy.
Where did you get all that money, Jonah?
You robbed somebody.
Oh, nothing like this has ever happened before. I was on my way to see Eddie Robertson, and I was hungry, because I didn't have no dinner this noon, you see.
He's lost his mind.
Well, Glenn's bakery wagon was in front of the livery stable, but Glenn wasn't nowhere around, so I left 20 cents and took a loaf of bread.
Always was right on the edge.
Well, sir, I went to eat some. Oh, hush. And a great big roll of $10 bills was inside of the loaf. And this proved that honesty is the best policy. For 20 cents, I got a loaf of bread and a roll of bills.
Wait a minute, Jonah. Sheriff, Glenn seems to have more money than a man in his position can rightfully account for. I think we'd better check up on him for keeps this time.
Say, it's easy to blaze the trail to a better day. Just start off with a rip-snorting breakfast built around new, improved Post Toasties. Fresh, crisp flakes of corn, rich with sweet kernel flavor. Yippee! What a feast!
Post Toasties, heap good cornflakes. The best thing that's happened to corn since the Indians discovered it. Heap good cornflakes. Post Toasties, heap good cornflakes.
And, Mom, if there's a paleface at your house who hasn't an appetite for breakfast, try setting a big bowl full of Post Toasties at his place and watch him eat hearty. Remember, Post Toasties with sugar and cream are heap good and heap good nourishment, too, for rockin' horse cowboys or big braves. So be a good scout, Mom. Dish up Post Toasties, the best thing that's happened to corn since the Indians discovered it.
Post Toasties, heap good cornflakes. The best thing that's happened to corn since the Indians discovered it. Heap good cornflakes. Post Toasties, heap good cornflakes.
Finding a roll of $10 bills in a loaf of bread is the last in a series of incidents that make Glenn DeBona a man of mystery. Until a few days ago, Glenn worked as a ranch hand and saved his money to pay off a mortgage on the bakery operated by himself and his sister. He claims to have paid this mortgage, yet an outlaw has proven that he took Glenn's money before the payment was made. In addition, Jonah discovered another roll of $10 bills.
Yeah, all this talk about inflation is just so much eyewash. I say, it's just so much eyewash. Did you ever hear of a bigger bargain than I got? A loaf of bread and a roll of $10 bills for 20 cents?
Are you all through now, Order?
Through what?
Jabbering. Roy's trying to say something.
Oh, convolution. Well, excuse me, Roy.
Well, I'm trying to find out whether or not you asked Eddie Robertson about Glenn paying off the mortgage.
Well, certainly I said. By doggies, I didn't. This windfall come to me and I clean forgot it.
I'll go, Roy.
Well, maybe Dale should, Sheriff. We don't want it to look official yet.
I'll take care of it.
You better stay right here. And be ready for trouble, Sheriff. Jonah and I will go on over to the bakery and have another talk with Glenn.
No, Glenn isn't here. Haven't seen him since morning.
You know where we can get in touch with him, Jean?
It's hard to say. My brother's not one to tell his business. Anything I can do for you?
Well, we were just wondering if there was any profit in bread at 20 cents a loaf, the way you bake it.
Well, not much, I can tell you.
I wouldn't think so. Here, Jean, we found this in a loaf of bread Jonah took off your
You
wagon.
get out of here with that money. It ain't ours, or you take it away.
Howdy, miss. I'd like to... Oh, excuse me. I didn't see you was waiting on somebody else.
They're just leaving.
Oh. Well, I'd like a loaf of bread. Mr. Mitchell, Jim Mitchell, said this is the place to get it.
We ain't got any. We're all out, for the time being.
There's some in the showcase, miss.
That's yesterday's bacon. I don't pawn off yesterday's stuff on somebody Mr. Mitchell sends in. And you come back later. Kind you want will be out of the oven soon.
Well, we may as well be going too, Jonah. You're sure this money doesn't belong to Glenn?
You keep that money out of sight and don't be showing it around here.
Well, the only thing I can do then, Jean, is to turn it over to the sheriff.
You turn it over to anybody you please, but don't be coming around here saying it's ours, 'cause it isn't.
Okay, whatever you say. I hope you won't regret this, Jean.
Doggy says more money in this town than nobody wants.
When somebody turns down money, Jonah, they usually have a pretty good reason.
Yeah. Hey, that's shooting.
It's coming from the sheriff's office. Let's get down there.
He did just what he said he would. He got away.
Herb Selby.
Convolution.
I went into his cell. Wanted a few more details on this holdup of Glenn DeBona. He had a hidden gun. I don't even know where he was carrying it. He hit me on the temple with it. Shot the lock off the cell door and ran.
Just wait till Dorothy May hears about this.
He made good his boast. All right, we'll bring him back and fix him so he won't get away again.
Roy, I talked to Eddie Robertson. What's wrong?
Selby escaped. What about Eddie?
Oh, well, he said Glenn paid off the mortgage the first thing this morning.
Somebody around here is lying. Okay, we'll find out later. Where's Bullet?
Over to Eureka.
Let's get him and trail Selby. Selby's the man we want to see first.
With unerring instinct, Bullet darts ahead of Roy, Dale, Jonah, and the sheriff, picking out Selby's trail. He's traveling in the direction of the hideout cabin. Selby must be returning there, intending to dig up the rest of his loot, then flee the county. Roy urges Trigger on.
Bullet! Here, fella! Come here, Bullet!
What's the matter, Roy?
I want Bullet close to us. Selby's gone to the hideout cabin to get the loot before he gets out of the territory.
That's it, all right.
Let's see if we can ride up quiet so he doesn't get scared and run away. He must be inside the cabin. There's his horse.
Quiet, Bullet, quiet. Here, you better keep under cover. This man's pretty handy with a gun.
I'll watch myself.
Oh, why are you saying that, Tin Star? Just 'cause he slapped your head with a gun?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, personal, I think you're giving too much credit to him and not enough to your big head.
Jonah.
It's hard not to hit that thing.
Cut it. This is no time for wrangling. You two cover the sides of the cabin. I'll see if I can get up to the door.
Quickly, but with caution, Roy moves toward the front door of the cabin while Jonah and the sheriff go to the sides. Roy is within 10 feet of the door now. No cover is between himself and the cabin. He races across the ground, bending low, gun ready. He reaches the cabin, presses back hard against the wall. The door is to his right, a window to his left. He listens. There is no indication that anyone is inside. He reaches out with his boot, kicks the door open. Shots from inside. Roy ducks back against the wall.
Don't try to come in, Rogers, or I'll kill you.
Herb Selby. Roy edges over, points his gun through the doorway. Another shot from inside. Roy ducks back again.
All right, Selby, if that's the way you want it.
Roy turns quickly, pokes his gun through the window. Terror-stricken, Selby runs.
Roy! He's out the back window!
Bullet! There, fella, take him! Go get him! Hold it, Bullet. On guard, fella. That's enough. Take it easy.
Boy, Bullet wasn't fooling.
Stand quiet now, boy. You got your cuffs, Sheriff?
Right here.
Oh, yeah, he always got his cuffs and things like that. Just he can't keep his big head from being bopped by a gun.
I'll talk to you later, Arthur.
I'll make it the next time, Rogers.
No need to come this way next time, Selby. The loot's all dug up.
We'll just take it back with us now, eh, Roy?
Yeah, well, you thought I was hitting out of the territory right away, didn't you? Well, I wasn't. Not until tomorrow. Now, this Glenn DeBona claimed I didn't hold him up last night, so... Well, I thought I'd get him tonight, but good.
Selby, take a look at this. This the money you took from him?
Yeah, that's right. Leather pouch and all. $1,400.
But he left Mitchell's ranch with 1,017.
Sheriff, you haven't had a good look at this money yet, have you?
I started to count it back at the office, but we were interrupted.
Most of it's all right. But here's a couple hundred in tens, but what do you think of these?
I see. Why, this one is of the same series as the counterfeit that showed up at the bank.
Well, the others are the same series, too.
Then this couldn't have been the money Glenn was carrying after all.
Why not?
Well, if it's counterfeit...
Well, if it's counterfeit, there's a good chance Glenn's dealing bad money.
Bacon it and bread. Convolution.
Sheriff, how about letting me borrow your prisoner for the evening?
Selby?
Yeah, he may be able to help us get evidence on some counterfeiters. That is, providing you still want to do that one last job, Selby.
Anytime, Rogers. Nobody is going to claim I didn't rob him when I did.
You'll have to take the responsibility for this, Roy, and I won't know anything about it.
Well, that suits us. Selby, we'll stay here until dark. If you try anything between now and then, you're just another prisoner who tried to escape, understand?
He's in the bakery, all right.
Here's a gun, Selby. But let me warn you, it's empty, and ours aren't. We're staying right out here behind you.
All right. Now, look, Rogers, we've been
I
over
just
this
want to make sure you understand.
All I want is to take the guy that won't admit I took him. It's a matter of pride with me.
Go ahead. But remember, your gun's empty, and we're right behind you.
The hold-up man enters the dimly lit bakery. Walks toward the wooden counter between the two glass showcases. Glenn DeBona glances up. His face grows pale. The hold-up man shows his gun.
I thought you...
I want that money.
But you...
You said I didn't take it last night. So I'm taking it now.
Well, there's not much here.
Get your hands out of there. I want the big stack. The big stack and all of it. Now, quick, or I'll let this talk.
Just a minute.
Be careful what you pick up.
What you want is in this box. It's money.
All right. Bring it over.
Here.
Take the cover off and let's see.
Okay. Look.
All right, Selby, raise your hands.
We got you.
Don't move.
You only think you've got me.
Keep your guns on him, Dale and Jonah. I'll have to take this box of money.
No.
We'll need it as evidence.
Keep your hands off that money.
Glenn grabs the box of money with one hand, striking out at Roy with the other. Roy steps back, holstering his gun. Glenn comes at him. Roy swings. Glenn is hit, but unhurt. Roy swings again, then again. Glenn lands a hard blow to Roy's stomach, and Roy retaliates with a drive to Glenn's jaw. Glenn goes down.
Keep Selby covered for another minute, Dale and Jonah. I want to have a look at this money in this box.
Howdy, Pards. Things sure have been jumping at the ranch, and that's just when a feller needs a good supply of energy most. So take an old hand's advice. Tomorrow when you roll out of your bunk, corral yourself a bowl full of that great energy-giving cereal, Grape Nuts Flakes. Why, 2 minutes after you polish off a bowl full of Grape Nuts Flakes, their powerhouse whole wheat energy starts to go to work for you. That's the kind of quick energy you fellers and gals need. And you get it from Grape Nuts Flakes, 'cause their 2-minute energy has been tested and proved. And you go for Grape Nuts Flakes sugar-roasted flavor. It's plumb delicious. So ask Mom to get you Grape Nuts Flakes, the 2-minute energy cereal. Look for Roy's picture on the front of the package, you hear?
For 2-minute energy, what'll we eat? Grape Nuts Flakes, oh boy, they're a treat. Yes, their 2-minute energy has what it takes. So rise and shine with Grape Nuts Flakes.
Selby hasn't a chance in the world of escaping, Roy, and he'll stay that way from now on.
Unless your big head gets in his way again.
All right. Glenn, let's hear your explanation of how counterfeit money came to be in the box you were given to the hold-up man.
And you may as well tell the truth. We know you were distributing it at the bakery.
In 20-cent loaves of bread. I thought I was rich for a minute.
Where were you printing it? At the bakery?
No. I didn't know anything about counterfeit until I went out to Jim Mitchell's place to work. I stumbled on the plates out there one day. I made him take me in as a partner.
He prints it then. And you sell it to the boys who make a specialty of passing bad money. Is that it?
Pretty much.
Okay. I'll give you a pad of paper and a pencil. While you're not doing anything in your cell, I want you to write out a list of every man you sold the stuff to and where we can find them.
You going out to pick up Jim Mitchell, Sheriff?
Right away.
Drop over to the cafe on your way back. We'll have a little supper tonight.
I will if I have time, Roy. I'm not sure.
If you do have time, we'll be there anyway. Sure a good meal, Dale. Say, where's Jonah?
Still answering his phone call, I guess. No, here he comes. Must be bad news the way he looks.
Hey, what's the matter, Jonah?
Yeah, nothing. Well, you about ready to go back to the ranch?
Yeah, but I thought you were going to call on Dorothy May tonight.
Yeah, well, I was, but now well, Roy, I don't know. That phone call was from somebody that said she was a friend of Dorothy May's, and he told me that Dorothy May was indisposed, so would I please not come over tonight?
Uh-oh.
Yes, I see what you mean.
Say, the same thing happened to the sheriff last night, if I remember right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, what are you going to do about it?
Well, I can't make up my mind, Roy. If somebody's playing a joke on me and I don't go over, and Dorothy May has to sit there all evening alone watching the clock and tapping her foot, war. On the other hand, if the phone call ain't a joke and I go barging in and she is indisposed, war.
The frying pan on the fire.
Yes, times like this, a man don't know his own mind. Say he don't know his own mind. Whichever way I turn, I'm a heel.
Hey, look out the window passing by.
The sheriff. A dozen roses and a box of candy.
Yeah, say that. Wait, that polecat's got his face all shined up.
And heading straight towards Dorothy May's house.
I'll salivate him. I'll salivate that chucklehead.
Yes, sir. It looks as though we'll have a mighty interesting evening. Turnabout sort of fair play at that, isn't it, Dale? What you got a-cooking? How's about cooking something up with me? Hey, sweet baby, don't you think maybe we could find a brand new recipe? I've got a hot rod Ford and a $2 bill. I know a spot right over the hill where the soda pop and the dancing's free. If you want to have fun, come along with me. Hey, good looking, what you got a-cooking? How's about cooking something up with me? Free and ready, so we can go steady. How's about saving all your time for me? There's no more looking, I know I've been tooken. How's about keeping steady company? I'm gonna throw my date book over the fence and buy me one for 5 or 10 cents. I'll keep it till it's covered with age. I'm gonna write your name down on every page. Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How's about cooking something up with me? How's about cooking something up with me? That's all for now, folks. This is Roy Rogers saying to all of you from all of us, goodbye, good luck, and may the good Lord take a liking to you. See you next week. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then.
The Roy Rogers Show is brought to you by Post Cereals, each week at this same time, with the Whippoorwills, Forrest Lewis, Dale Evans, and the king of the cowboys himself, Roy Rogers. An Art Brush production transcribed, directed by Tom Hargis, script by Ray Wilson, music by Milton Charles.
Featured in today's cast were Frank Hemingway, Herb Butterfield, Paul Zarimba, Herb Litton, Janet Warren, and Ralph Moody.
This is Art Ballinger speaking for
P.O.S.T.
Post Cereals.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds if we're together?
Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.
That's it for this week. We'll be back next week with more old-time radio. I hope you can join us then. Till then, this is Jim Dolan thanking you for listening. The RTC Weekly Download is produced by Chris Stone and Jim Dolan.